Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I always get the giggles when we go on live. I'm Kearns. Hi, everybody.
And
That's
I'm
good.
Samantha
Start us off with
Martinson.
smiles, yeah.
And we have Tim here with us from South Milwaukee High School. So hello. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. Thanks for joining me. I'm excited.
I've wanted to know a lot about that South Milwaukee High School Theater Company. And so for a long time now. So this is the perfect opportunity to, as they say, grill you on all things.
Well, we're pretty great, let me tell you.
Tim, so you were just saying before we went on live that you come in and you do all the after school programming with the theater company, correct? What would you do in the before times in a normal year with the theater company?
You mean if the pandemic weren't happening?
Yeah.
So my normal routine would be I'd work my day job / deal with my children until about 2:00. My mom comes by and watches the kids so I can go over to the school and get ready. Our rehearsals usually are at 3:00, so I have like 45 minutes to an hour to kind of figure out what needs to happen and take care of anything else beforehand. We rehearse till 5, and then I come back home and life continues. But this year, there's been a lot more virtual stuff. Like in-person stuff has kind of gotten back into the swing of things now that school is back in person, but the routine has been thrown off quite frequently this year.
What was okay, so when you're wearing a sweatshirt here, you're wearing a sweatshirt that's Tuck Everlasting. So with the pandemic everlasting, this was a piece that you were all set to do when everything shut down. How did you adapt into the virtual world? How did you make those decisions?
It was tough. It was a difficult day. We were supposed to open Friday, March 13th, Friday the 13th, of course. And of course, that was the day that everything exploded, COVID wise. So our production for that weekend got shut down. It was devastating for the kids. They were able to do one performance for just their parents that evening, and then it was over. After that, we were just kind of like, what do we do next? So we have a Slack channel that we use for our Thespians Society. We were talking a little bit about what are we going to do. So we came up with the Quarantines virtual play idea. And that was kind of how that went. It was sort of a collaborative effort in figuring out what do we want to do. And we came up with the idea of let's do a virtual play of some kind.
And what was the writing process like for that? So did you incorporate the ideas from the students? How long did it take for you to write that and then produce it for the public?
Students, so we on Slack, I had students contribute experiences or thoughts or emotions of theirs based on certain categories. So anxiety about the world in general, or experiences going out in public in the early days of COVID, or loss of activities that they enjoy, like prom or sports or the musical or whatever else. We had 10 total topics that they all contributed ideas for, and then I worked those ideas into a script and created storylines for each one of the 16 students that wanted to act in it. So each of them ended up having 4 or 5 monologues that kind of had their own trajectory. And then we cobbled it out over the course of the first 90 days of quarantine, and day 90 was graduation day, or what was supposed to be graduation day. So it was fun. It was, emotional. It was weird, directing a show and acting through a screen like this. All in all, the process took about 2 months. We released it in mid to late May. Journal Sentinel wrote up a thing on it, which was really awesome. I thought it went great. We heard a lot of really good feedback. It meant a lot to the students to have something to do because there were no activities happening at the time. And yeah, I think it turned out great. It's kind of weird to look back though in hindsight and be like, we thought this was only going to last 4 weeks, but yeah.
Yeah. And the I loved the play. is it a homonym or a homophone? I always get those two confused, and I was an English major. But the T-E-E-N-S.
Yeah.
That was what really caught my eye. That was just exciting. What thinking about how we can archive. I also have the impulse to archive, and I love that you did that. What happened this year? What did you get up to this year as it was longer than the 4 months, and as we're continuing into our second year of the pandemic now?
I think the biggest thing that has been challenging this year is having to be crazy flexible with everything, and just like knowing that plans are going to change like at the drop of a hat, and like, okay, we're going to have backups on backups. So initially the plan was, if it was going to be a normal year, I was trying to get more people interested in the program, get more kids doing theater. We were going to do High School Musical in the fall, which is like, all these kids are going to totally come out for High School Musical and do theater for the first time. And then you've got them for years after that. But that, obviously couldn't happen. We're not going to do a huge cast show with crazy choreography and everything in the middle of a pandemic. So we canceled that. We were looking at doing like a larger straight play. It just wasn't quite ready yet for that. Canceled that. So we ended up doing a series of small live radio plays. One was Vintage Hitchcock. It was like 3 Alfred Hitchcock short stories. Another was 3 Sherlock Holmes short stories. And then another was It's a Wonderful Life. So we rehearsed those mostly via Zoom. We had like a few in-person rehearsals leading up to make sure that the sound effects were all good to go and everything. And then they were like, spaced out on stage at standing microphones. We had small audiences. We've got like an 800-person seat theater, so we were able to, bring a few people in safely. But otherwise, we streamed those for the public to view. So that was our first thing in the fall. And then we also did, sorry, I'm talking a lot here, but so Michael Cody, with whom you are very well familiar at Milwaukee Chamber Theater, he's a South Milwaukee treasure, graduated class of 2004. He put together this international initiative called Enough, Plays to End Gun Violence. There was like a huge playwriting competition that students submitted their plays about gun violence. There were, 7 winners, 10-minute plays. So I assigned 7 of my students to student direct those, and they directed them virtually, put their cast together. And then we had another similar, in-person at standing microphones reading for a small audience. We raised money for the Wisconsin anti-violence effort, donated to them, and then streamed that also. And then now we're in the spring and working on 33 variations, which we'll, I'm sure, talk about. So that's the long/short version of this crazy last year.
That's amazing. Can I ask what, in terms of getting things together to rehearse on Zoom, to stream, did you have, what kind of technical support did you have, or was it you figuring out?
None at all.
Did you figure out how to do all of that?
Yeah, at first I was making a new email account every time so that I wouldn't have the Zoom limits, but but eventually I was like, okay, I'll spring the $13 a month or whatever to be able to have a consistent meeting room. But yeah, pretty much we went on Zoom and we like crossed our fingers and hoped it worked for everyone.
And do you feel how do you feel about the efforts of the most recent initiative? So Enough. Did you do I know that there was a really widespread day or week of readings. What did you do readings of all of the winners, or did you select some, or what was how'd that go?
Yeah, we did all 7.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And did you have any students submit in the writing process? Was that part of your work with the Enough Plays to End Gun Violence initiative?
I don't think we had any students submit a play, although they're planning on doing it again, and I think this time around I'll want to encourage that more. It'll hopefully be easier, not in a pandemic world, to be more hands-on with some of these things. But yeah, it was a great experience, though. I mean, the kids who acted in it, like, it was really meaningful to them. that was really cool to see with such like the kind of content and themes that they were dealing with. For them to take ownership of it was super cool.
Yeah, I think it's really special or powerful that during the pandemic, you were also able to allow students to direct pieces and giving them that ownership. How did that process look for the students? Had they ever directed before? Or was this a new adventure for them entirely?
Yeah, none of them had ever directed before. So I opened up on our Thespians Slack channel. We had been talking about the Enough thing for a while. And then when the plays were released, I sent out the script and was like, hey, if you're interested in directing one of these, shoot me a message and we'll like, I gave first priority to upperclassmen who'd been, doing theater for a while, but I did open it up to everybody. And I happened to have 7 people do it, or 6. It was 6. One did 2, and then I had 5 others did the rest. And I met with them as a group first, like virtually, went through like a crash course in directing. Like, how do you read a play like a director, or what are the things that you need to look for? How do you give direction? Really, really basic things. They had a lot of questions, but basically I told them like these are yours, take ownership of it, and like do what you think is right. Like I can give you some pointers, but ultimately you might find that like you see or care about, or you handle things differently than I do. And they each then organized all of their own rehearsals. And I think they each did like 3 or 4 rehearsals before they had the reading on the day of the show. And it went great. I was really proud of them. It was awesome.
Here's to them. That's marvelous. And some of them, I assume, are involved in 33 Variations, or?
Yeah, I think all of them are involved some way, whether it's on stage or, elsewhere.
Tell us about that project.
So that is our spring play. Normally we do a musical in March. We're kind of pushing that off till June in hopes that it will still be feasible. But we're doing a small play. We're back on stage, staging it out. They're back in school full time as of this week. So, we're testing the waters a little bit with more traditional theater. Still going to have, the size limit on the cast. It's a 7-person cast and audience limits, but it's exciting to have a little bit of normalcy. It's still a little weird with some of the processes that we have to follow at school, but 33 Variations, if anybody is not familiar with the play, basically it takes place in 2 different timelines. There's Ludwig van Beethoven, the composer. He's composing 33 Variations on a Waltz by Diabelli in the early 1800s, and he becomes obsessed with this rather ordinary waltz. For whatever reason, he just finds something really inspiring in it and composes 33 variations on it rather than just the one that Diabelli asked for. Meanwhile, modern times, you have Dr. Catherine Brandt, a musicologist who's studying Beethoven and researching what was it about these 33 variations, or like this waltz, that got so obsessed. And the thing that's interesting about the show is that while you're tracking their obsessions, their respective obsessions, both of them are also like their bodies are deteriorating. Beethoven is going deaf. He's having all kinds of health problems. Catherine Brandt is deteriorating with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And it's a really powerful play that like follows the progression of these 2, geniuses, but 200 years apart. And there's a lot of connecting sort of stuff that happens. So really, really, really great play. I'm excited to do it with high school. Like, I feel like a lot of times directors are a little scared to do like really good literature with high school students, but I think like they are really receptive to it, and like they can tell when something's good, and then they get into it.
Oh yeah. There's some of the most discerning audience members I've ever seen. At the very least, much less artists. what will your process be like, if I may ask, in terms of staging, like some of the protocols you have to follow? I know I've seen like university productions, and I've worked on a university production where we ended up everything, not only rehearsals, but also performances are masked, and we had to work on 6 feet of distance with blocking and getting air filters through in between work periods. What kind of protocols, if that's okay, like what do you find challenging? What do you have to do? And what do you find maybe challenging creatively? Like an obstacle?
And maybe exciting, like maybe a fun new way to think about the production, especially like with certain limitations, it pushes you to think differently.
Right.
Yeah. So everybody's masked at all times, obviously. We're going to have everybody just wearing plain black masks during the show. The blocking stuff can be a challenge. Now, I mean, there's only 7 of them, and most of the time there's only 2 or 3 on stage. So it's not at all difficult on a huge stage to keep them separate if we need to. You know, it's the romantic stuff that's really challenging. Like, you can't exactly have people like kissing during COVID on stage. So what do you do stylistically to like give the sense that this is like a really important romantic moment, but also not have that physical like level to it? That's a challenge. And things that I've been experimenting with have been like, you know, freezing the scene, doing stuff with lighting, whatever. So, you know, finding ways to work around that, where it's like, okay, clearly this is important and it's special, and like they would be kissing if they could, but here's how it is, without calling too much attention to the fact that, oh, we're wearing masks and it's COVID time. That's I think the challenge, is finding a way to create like realism while they're wearing masks and while we're sitting in the audience wearing masks. And it's like, how do we get past the fact that half of their face is blocked off? You know, it's that's the biggest challenge, I think, for sure. So it's something I'm still struggling with and working on. But we've been finding ways to do it. And then of course, like other stuff we've been doing, I mean, regular cleaning of everything, of course. Dressing rooms, like they can't all be packed into the same dressing room at the same time, like they might usually be doing, like screaming to their Spotify playlists. So that's a thing. Props, like wiping down props. We were doing the radio plays, like they would be, you know, wiping down the microphones in between. Just going the extra mile to make sure that, like, anytime you're in person doing stuff like this together during this, there's going to be some level of risk, but we have to do everything that we can to minimize that risk as much as possible. So.
Thanks for going into detail on that. It's just, to me, it's amazing. It's an amazing testament to the adaptability that our industry has. Like, no matter what we have to go through, we're going to tell that story. And having those limitations, sometimes, as Samantha said, like sometimes it can be really exciting to find what obstacles can be overcome and how obstacles can be overcome. When does that run?
March 12th through 14th. So we don't open on a Friday the 13th. That's good. Good sign. It's funny, our first radio play also this fall opened on another Friday the 13th, and we're like, oh God.
Oh, no.
But yeah. So, yes, tickets are available at southmilwaukeepac.org for 33 variations.
And then how many people will there be per performance? Do you know that? Is it a limited amount in the space? Should people get tickets now versus later?
Yeah, so
what are you recommending?
The health department in South Milwaukee, they worked with the PAC on that. I believe they're at quarter capacity at the moment. Full capacity is around 800. So, you know, I think technically full capacity for us for this would be around 200. I doubt, you know, realistically, given the circumstances we're in, that's not going to be a thing that happens, which is fine. You know, really the big thing that I've been emphasizing to them all year is, like, doesn't really matter how many people are in the audience. Like, let's just appreciate the fact that we're able to do this at all, you know, and not take it for granted, because there's a lot of places right now where, like, they don't have any kind of opportunity to perform. So even weird theater is better than no theater, I think. So.
And I think even there's such a difference. I think the students who are not seniors may experience performing to a smaller audience and an intimate audience versus an audience of 800. What emotions they may pull from the audience members as they're performing, and being able to tap into that energy of the audience members themselves. So that'll be exciting for the students to experience, especially with such a large PAC.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Well,
And it's such an intimate play. So it feels like it's the right production. Great job selecting a play that feels right for a small team.
oh yeah, I wish you all the best. That's an incredible opportunity for the young people. Here's to those young people who are
they're the best. If any of them are watching, they might be. Hello, or if you're watching later, it's like the best part of my day every day is going over there and working with them, and it just like it gives me so much life. Like it's great to be able to be back doing this again, even if it's not the way it normally would be. It's really meaningful to me, and I know. I mean, obviously, it's more about them than me, but it's also really meaningful to me. So,
great.
I can only imagine they feel the same way.
Absolutely. Well, here's to it. Here's to the spring. SouthMilwaukeePAC.org.
Yep.
That's awesome. And I'm sure in just a moment, as we have more information about what's coming forward, what's coming up in the Milwaukee community, we will hear more on 33 Variations.
Thanks so much, Tim, for hanging out with us and sharing all of your knowledge and your experience with the students of Milwaukee.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So cool to hang. Right, John?
Right. Oh no, I can't hear you.
Oh, all right, there we go. I just have to point out that I know for myself that theater in high school was really the time that I really latched on to the art form and really found myself and really was like, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. And I was talking to him, a little bit before we all popped in here. I can't imagine what kids are going through right now. And I just want to thank all of you for all of the work that you all are doing in keeping those kids in it, because that's, we talk a lot about in the Theater Alliance, how do we keep people on the theater train? like how do we, first stage, get some, got to get them when they're young, and then you all are like keeping them in the teen years and whatnot. How do we get more lifers is really how it is. And so I really thank you all for doing that hard work right now of giving kids the opportunity to keep in it. So
hey, thanks. I mean, I can't speak for Samantha, but I know for me, they're one of the main reasons I'm in it.
Mm-hmm.
Is the voices of the young people are they revitalize.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're all old and our minds are frozen, and
mine anyway.
we don't have new thoughts anymore. Once you get beyond 28, like your mind is frozen and you have no new thoughts. So thanks to the young people for bringing new ideas.
I think they do pressure us to be better. That's for sure. And I think they hold us accountable. I think that the theater has morphed and has had to be held accountable and respond to current issues much more drastically because of the younger generation requiring that of society. And so I think that their ability to not be afraid and not worry about what that reputation might be like to be a pusher and a catalyst of change is really where it's at. And that's exciting to be a part of and to see and witness them doing that. And I can see that from the work that Tim was talking about too, creating spaces where students can feel vulnerable and can trust that their words are going to be taken seriously. And I think that quarantine project, that's what that is. And that's how you can do 33 variations and talk about really hard topics with students and know that they are going to take it seriously as well. So I think it comes down to the directors and the teachers in the room and how they cultivate those safe spaces for students.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we have more things happening. What are the things?
We do have more things happening because it's important to keep going, even in a pandemic. Oh no, we have to show the first thing first. All right.
I can't wait.
Let's do it this way. Optimist Theater. These are the other things going on in the community.
Ooh.
And all of these things that I'm going to talk about are virtual. All this stuff is virtual eventage. I don't even know if that's a word, but we're going with it. So Optimist Theater has their No Holds Barred Pericles project. This is Shakespeare, Mr. Shakespeare. They are doing this every other Wednesday. They're premiering new episodes. It's a film project that they got a whole bunch of local people gigs on, which is awesome. They're premiering these every other Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. and you can go to Optimist Theater's sister website at noholdsbarred.org for that. Milwaukee Opera Theatre has the distance commissions. They just completed their first iteration of these last week, and so next week they're going to be going into the sound with Sista Strings. That's February 19th through 28th. They only do 18 seats per on this, so and it's virtual. They're creating this environment of where you can talk to each other, and like it's basically like being in the lobby and trying to create this virtual space of community that we're really lacking right now. Then we've got Skylight Music Theatre is premiering, well, not premiering, they're doing a staged reading of their Fortunate Sons, which is it's a stage concert reading where tickets are free but reservations are required. This is a brand spanking new thing, and they've got a whole bunch of local people. I was just on the website today, really awesome local theater artists. So check that out at skylightmusictheater.org. And then elsewhere in the community, Next Act has their principal opening tonight. And
wow.
And then last but not least, you all were here last week talking about.
What are we doing, Samantha?
We have our Young Playwrights Festival that is all through the entire month of February. Everything is fully available online, so it's an online streaming. And there are 3 fully produced virtual plays written by high school students, and those are. We don't know the price cost for it, but there's a fee to watch the Young Playwrights Festival. You see all 3 plays together. And then there are 3 stage readings that are pay what you can donation. And so you can also see the 3 runner-ups for the festival. And so it involves 6 high school playwrights and a team of over 50 artists collaborated together to tell 6 different amazing stories. In short.
Yeah, I don't remember what the price was either, but it was
It's really affordable.
It's really awesome and affordable and amazing. So you should just do it. Is really the point there. I do want to quickly mention, well, first of all, you can find links to all Milwaukee Theater Alliance companies at MilwaukeeTheaterAlliance.org. But because of all of this virtualness, I do want to mention there is a movement going on right now, Mask Up Milwaukee, where a lot of I just saw Skylight had it on theirs. I don't know if Chamber has put it up yet. I'm probably going to get it up on the Constructivist here shortly, about putting your mask on, because we can't have live theater back in any real normalness sense until we can get this pandemic under control.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that we are going to do that is to really get everybody on board once and for all, and do the things that we all can do to bring not only theater back, but arts and culture back, period. I think what this pandemic has really shown us is how much our lives are involved with live events, music, dance, theater, farmers markets. Is even art in its own way, and we I don't know about you all, but I am really tired right now. And I was thinking this week and got really sad about it, how this is the first time of this time of year that I haven't been producing anything in I can't remember.
I think that there's the place that I'm coming to is, I think that there is room both for and there should be grace given, I think, both for those who are seeking to produce in whatever way they can, but also those who are taking a sabbatical, those who are taking a rest, because it's in the space of rest that new ideas and innovations can be born. And it's in the place of innovation and continued production within this space, in whatever way, that both the challenges and also the opportunities may reveal themselves to those who are at rest. So I think in some, whether we are patient or not, whether we are tired or not, whether we are in that space or not, the beautiful thing is to have a community of people to share it with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I just had that moment, and yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So my heart goes out to you having that moment, and I'm glad that you're able to have this space and to have spaces of colleagues with whom to share it.
Yeah.
We all get to lean on each other
again for keeping it going and keeping the fires underneath people's butts and having things for people to run to, like the Young Playwrights Festival. And so go to Milwaukee Chamber Theatre, that's a theatre, right?
It's a theatre.
Yeah. .org. And
theater.
I gotta say it because we've got Pink Umbrella and they went the other way, and she's all about theater. So we've got the theatres and the theaters. So clarify. And thank you all out there, as always, for being here this week, and come again next week and find out about all the theatre and theater things going on in the community. And again, be well out there, whatever you're doing. If you're resting, if you're stressed out still like me, because that's just where I live. I just live there.
Well, here's to a space of ease.
Yep.
Within the travails.
All spaces are valid. That's all I'm saying. All spaces are valid. And go find yourself something to watch and support local Milwaukee theater, because there's such good shit out there. Oops, sorry.
There's such good things out there from all of the different theater companies coming together.
Yeah. So be well out there. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next week. You've got a thing.